You have to learn how to be a good lover, and unlike what the movies may lead us to believe, this takes a bit of time and practice, but there's actually a lot you can do to have a fulfilling and healthy relationship. As this really is such an individual thing, I think it's always really useful for the individual to think about what a healthy and fulfilling relationship looks like for you. So what are the habits or behaviors of a healthy relationship? How do you feel? What are you willing to do for other? But what are you also wanting to receive in a fulfilling relationship? So spend time reflecting on that and getting really clear on what you want. And as it is such a huge area, I certainly won't be able to speak to everything that is involved in a healthy relationship, but I do want to put a spotlight on two really important areas. That's consent and communication. So when I refer to consent, I'm talking about the verbal and non-verbal communication that ensures everyone is excited and willing to be there. Consent is freely given without coercion. It's reversible. So just because you've said yes to one thing, you can change your mind at any time. It's informed, it's enthusiastic, and it's specific. Everyone's really clear about what's going to happen in any sexual experience. And I think activist, writer, and educator Jacqueline Friedman puts it really powerfully. She says that anytime you have sex, everyone should leave feeling even more fully human, not less. I think that's such an important sentiment, and I invite you to really think about that in creating sexual experiences that are great for everyone involved. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, consent is a very dynamic and important area, and I think we all can practice and learn more about this area. So if you're wanting more information, we have a whole topic on this in our course, The Modern Guide to Sex. I worked with Normal to create this amazing resource with videos and practices and activities. So make sure you go there for more information around learning about consent, but also applying it to every sexual experience. The second part of healthy relationships that I think is really important is communication. And when I talk about communication, I think people will often sort of tense up and they think, oh no, I find it really awkward speaking about sex. And I find that actually really interesting, that the speaking about sex is the tricky part. It's not the being naked, it's not the bodily fluid swapping, it's not the touching different parts, but it's talking about sex. However awkward it may feel, I think sexual communication is vital. It's vital before, during, and after. Before, to communicate and talk about what's going to happen and consenting. During, what could make it even better, checking in with people, asking about what people want or need or want to change. And after, how was that for you? What would you do differently next time? What are you curious about next time? So sexual communication is really important. And I also recognize that it is like learning a new language. And I wouldn't expect you to be able to speak fluent German after never having studied it in your life. So I think it's something you can certainly practice. If you're wanting a few key takeaways that you can apply right now, I think there are a few things that you can do. So the first is to spend time with a bit of solo exploration. Get really clear around what you want, what you like, how you like to be touched, how you like to touch others, so that you are more informed in being able to communicate that with others. Remember that communication is a two-way street. So yes, of course, it's so important that you communicate, but it's also really important that the other person speaks with you and communicates with you too. Practice. So practicing talking about sex, I think, is just so vital, and we'll always be needing to practice. So when it comes to maybe even lowering the stakes, perhaps you could try with asking for a massage and being really specific in how you want to be touched. Or maybe it could be a hug and asking them to place their hands on certain parts of your body. You may also ask them to make you a cup of tea and be really specific with how you want that tea to be made. So engaging in everyday practices or activities where you can start to refine your communication around what you want and need. Then there's also looking out at your verbal and non-verbal cues. So verbal being the words you use, but then the non-verbal things you can do. How can you work with the looks that you make or the sounds that you make? What can you do to non-verbally communicate, maybe with hand gestures or signals, if there ever are moments where you feel that you don't have words to express what you want and need. And remember that it may be clunky, it may be awkward, and it may take time to practice, but that is totally human. It is completely normal, and you can certainly have a bit of fun with it too. So, they are a few bits of information around why I think consent and communication are vital in a healthy and fulfilling relationship. You will probably need more information about this. So if you're wanting activities, resources, information, diagrams, video tutorials, head to Normal's The Modern Guide to Sex. It's an incredible resource that I've worked to develop with them. And it's also free for university students who are 18 plus. So go and check that out and see how you can apply consent and communication to your healthy, fulfilling relationships.